Hey, welcome to the Elle Russ Show, where we explore ways to get healthy, wealthy, and wise. With a combination of guest interviews and solo episodes, I hope you will be inspired and motivated to become the best of whatever you are. I'm Elle Russ, #1 best-selling author and subject expert with over a decade of helping thousands of people across the globe. Visit my website, elleruss.com, to learn more about free guides, masterclasses, online courses, and more. Enjoy the show. Welcome back, everyone. We have Hilary DeCesare on. She is an award-winning peak performance, business, and mindset mastery coach. We have a lot to ask her about today. She's a multi-million-dollar entrepreneur, and she's a catalyst between untapped potential and unparalleled success. She does some groundbreaking work with her own framework she calls 3HQ and also her Tune In Power tool. We're going to explore that today. And her goal is really to empower people to fearlessly pursue their personal and professional dreams. Welcome to the show, Hilary.
Elle, so good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Why, how? Because you have a book called ReLaunch, which we will get into, which is spark your heart to ignite your life kind of thing. And you are about empowerment and, hey, you can do this. Let's talk about your life. What were the beginnings of such a person that would come to want to do this for the world?
Yeah, it's one of those, we've all had what I call relaunches. Those are those transitions that happen to you, whether they are unexpected in your personal life, your professional life. We all know that they are just either around the corner or they actually are with you right now. And I got hit with a lot of relaunches all at once. And I have been a Silicon Valley CEO, worked at Oracle Corporation in the Valley for almost 10 years, and I was launching businesses. And really, I had, the marriage, I had the kids, I had the health, I had everything on the outside looking really good. And then it wasn't. And I ended up getting divorced. I got melanoma. I left corporate, started, down the path of entrepreneurship, had a board member do a Ponzi scheme with my company. And it was like,
Oh, wow.
Okay.
That's a lot. That's some relaunches.
Those are some relaunches. Like I was that woman, somebody said, Hilary, you should be known as the queen of relaunch. And here's the kick that you got to remember, that I've been studying neuroscience for almost 10 years. I've got a psychology degree. And I thought, that is the last title I want, because if you're known as the relaunch queen, what do you think you're going to continue to get? More relaunches. And so I said, can we pick a different name? Can we maybe change this up a bit? But what I did notice is that people were coming to me to gain advice on, my God, Hilary, you've been through a lot, and yet you're still positive.
It's like a backhanded compliment. It's like, wow, if you've made it out of this shit, Hilary, I want to talk to you.
Yeah, Elle, it kind of felt a lot like that. And they would say, really, how did you do it? And they would open up to me about everything and share, some of the worst things that had happened. And they'd say, what would you do in this scenario? And I ended up coming up with, when my mom got not melanoma, she got colon cancer stage 4 and passed within about 14 months, shy of 5 years ago. And she was my best friend, my rock, she was there for me in all my relaunches. And I really was just at this point where I realized that when she passed, I did something differently than most. And I put myself through a process to allow myself to keep working, to allow myself to still be a mom to my 3 little kids, to allow myself to continue on in bursts. Bursts, that's the key. Like small, little, time periods. Because I knew I couldn't just fake it. I knew I couldn't just be like, oh yeah, everything is great. Because it wasn't. It wasn't. I was in so much pain that I looked at it, and it was in writing the book, and you mentioned it, ReLaunch, Spark Your Heart to Ignite Your Life, that I really looked at the framework I used with my mom's passing and her influence throughout my life in creating it. So I did feel like I had a little help from the other side, I must say. And it took me a year to write the book. And then it just like flooded out. I've been coaching executives and entrepreneurs in peak performance and celebrities and all these different people for almost 24 years. 24 years of doing this, even while I was running all my other companies. And I started to like watch and see, hey, does this actually, I know it works for me, but does it work for others? And it started to like help the process, help people get through, help people manifest faster, have people like quantum leap to things that they never had thought were possible. And so it was at that moment that I started to ask people, I'm like, would you mind actually being a testimonial? Like, these are crazy. These are like, some people would call it magic, the success around. And again, relaunch doesn't just say, oh, we're only relaunching business. We're only relaunching your personal life. It's everything. It's everything in a person's life. And the greatest part is, as I collected more and more testimonials, I'm like, hey, this shit works in all areas. So I need to be spreading the word more on this. And the more I do it, the more the groundswell, the movement has started. And it's one of those that when you think about the outcome, right? Everyone's like, what's the transformation? It's like, how about your transformation is truly a rich life, like the richest life you could ever imagine. That's what I do.
I want to say that I am so sorry about your mom, and I cry about this impending doom in my life every day as I am Gen X and they're getting up there. And I think about that and it brings me to tears. And I know it's going to be a crazy, huge relaunch and it's going to be brutal. Probably one of the worst relaunches, right? Is that, especially when you're so close. Let's talk about your own framework that you developed to help you with these moments in life and others as well. And what does that entail? And how did you sort of come up with this?
Well, I think that the best example is actually one that is around my mom. It was about 8 months into her treatment, and it was a brutal treatment. And her favorite singer of all time was Diana Ross. And we
Oh,
went,
I love Upside Down so much.
oh,
It's my favorite
oh
band.
God, is that so good? And we went to many, many concerts together, and she would play Diana, on the album. She would have it on the 8 track. She would have it like everywhere since I was a little girl. And I had had the pleasure through some corporate events of meeting her, of being backstage with her, of letting her know that my mom's her biggest fan. And
Oh,
my mom had never met her. And I was like, if I could do one thing for my mom, it would be I want her to meet Diana Ross. So I literally decided, okay, listen, like when people say, "Ah, I should have, I could have," I didn't want that to be me. So I said, Mom, I am going to take you to a Diana Ross concert. And she lit up. But what I didn't tell her is, and you're going to meet her and you're going to like have a real connection with her. So I went to like, I went at it. I was like, what do I
you're
need
doing
to
like the meet and greet sale, ticket sales.
Oh God, let me tell you. And by the way, I was like, I will pay anything. I am
Yeah.
doing this. Like this woman with this cane, she is going.
Yes.
Well, every angle. And I mean, I got to the top of the top people, the agents, and everyone said, Hilary, I'm so sorry. It's not going to happen. She doesn't do these anymore. Nobody gets to see her up close. Nobody gets to meet her backstage. And I'm like, what the heck? And when you put your mind to something and you are so focused, I heard it. I didn't believe it. I'm like,
You're like,
no,
well, she'll do it for me, but she doesn't do it
yeah,
for other
yeah,
people.
yeah, exactly. Like, hey, this is going to happen. This is going to happen.
Yes.
Well, it got to the day of the show and I had no leads, zero, no leads. And so we walk in and we're about halfway down, so we're about middle of that lower level. And she's, I put her on the end of the aisle, so that she's right there. And she, again, her cane is like falling, into the main aisle. I'm like, oh my gosh, Mom,
You're
put it
like,
back.
Mom, bring
Yeah.
extra canes, make
I'm
it
like,
look really bad.
come on. So I I did something that was so powerful. I literally got into a state, and as Diana Ross came out on stage, I focused 100% of every ounce of my energy towards this woman. And when she fluffed her hair, I fluffed my hair. When she like kind of swooshed it off to the side, I swooshed it. I mean, anything this woman did, I mirrored back to her. And through psychology, I knew that eventually the mirroring starts to switch over. And so I thought, okay, I want this woman. I'm like, you are going to meet my mom. And in my mind, I'm saying this, and energetically, I'm putting it out there. And I am at the highest vibrational level because I am literally, singing the songs that she's singing on stage. My mom is singing. We're like, wow, like there's no sickness at this moment. It was just such a beautiful, beautiful time. Well, then I'm like, okay, it's now or never. It's go time. She she ended up putting her left hand up. And I'm like, this is my turn, baby. I put my right hand up. And at that point, she then put her right hand up. She was looking at me. I then look at my mom, and I'm like, in my mind, you're meeting her, you're meeting her, you're meeting her. Within about 20 seconds, she says, you know what? I want somebody to come up on stage. I want to bring up, and I'm thinking, no, I put out the wrong thing. My mom can't get on stage. My mom can't like jump those stairs. I'm like, no. So I'm still like focused on this woman, as focused as you could ever be. And that she brings up a couple people, and I'm like, oh. And then I'm like, no, now's the time. And she all of a sudden says, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go down, and I need to meet someone. So she literally beelines straight for my mom. And she gives my mom this gigantic hug. They are speaking to each other. She says something in my mom's ear. Sadly, I don't know what it is, but it was like connection. There it was. It just happened. And what was really interesting is that one of the last songs that Diana sang that night was this song by Gloria Gaynor, I Will Survive.
Yes.
And I'm like, my God, Elle, this is a miracle. This is like, my mom is the miracle. This is so incredible. So we leave, and we're both like, I don't think my mom was in any pain the rest of the night. It was the most incredible experience. And
Talk
she
about
just,
bucket list
oh
number
God.
one.
And
Just
she
like
just had,
what a daughter you are.
and she kept saying that. She's like,
Yeah,
I don't
yeah. I
know.
mean, now for the rest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't know how you did it, Hilary. I don't know. And I'm thinking, yeah, me neither. Not really sure, but it worked.
Yeah.
So I end up about 2 weeks later in a doctor's office with my mom, and the doctor comes in and says, unfortunately, it's spread now into your bones, and you're done. You have about a couple months to live. And I was like, what? How is that possible? Diana told me that she's going to survive. Like, what the heck? This is wrong. And so we go home, and yeah, my mom passes a couple months later, and it was probably another couple months when I all of a sudden in the middle of the night I get woken up by this strong, like, oh my God, just everything came together, everything clicked, and I'm like, Diana Ross wasn't singing to my mom; she was singing it to me because I didn't think I would survive without my mom.
Mm.
So I went to work on, now how do I bring this together? And the philosophy behind it, 3HQ, the headquarters of you. And you've got your head, your heart, your highest self. Highest self is your best version of you. Like, I was operating as my best version at that concert. Like, I couldn't have been in more alignment, more in my jam, more in like that place. And so as I started to think about your head, How many times can we not get out of our head? And that night at the concert, I was out of my head. I was only focused at this highest level of the thoughts associated with the positive outcome. And then in the heart, you often say, get out of your heart get out of your head into your heart. The heart is that center of like emotional abundance, the why. And I was electrified that night with the emotion that like, this is like there was no way it wasn't going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's how confident I was. But when you put your head and your heart together at that level, you tap in to your highest self. You are like one in flow. You are in an ever loop. You are the affinity of it all. And that is where your highest energy is, your vibrational energy is. That is where your wise woman is, your intuition. They are all right there. So you see how important each and every one of the areas. And a lot of times we can't stay in highest self indefinitely. We're human beings. We've got relaunches. There's things that are always going to be bringing it. Our subconscious works to bring us down. So what we do is we get in our head, out of our head, in our head, in our heart, out of our heart. So we're constantly a work in motion. So what I figured is that 3HQ, there's a lot of I teach a lot of amazing things in those areas to really help with your the neuroscience behind limiting beliefs, not just think it and you can get rid of it. You can't, you got to take it through a whole process. But I decided, what's the easiest way? What did I do that night? And I thought, you know what I did? I tuned in. I tuned in at the highest level. So, Elle, are you up for a little experimentation? Are you,
Sure.
you want to experience what I actually did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
So it's called the tune in process, and it absolutely can help you anytime, anywhere, get from one vibrational level. So if you've got shame or blame or guilt or anxiety or fear, those are low level vibrations. Your goals are not at that low level. They are at the highest level. That's where we need to get in order to have anything happen for you that you are wanting. That's why manifestation doesn't work 95% of the time, because you're sitting there, I want this to happen. I want this to happen. But your energy and your vibration is not at the same level. So it will never happen. But what you can do is hack it. And the hack is tune in. So what we're going to do is it's a 4-step process. And when you can become a master, I'm going to get, everyone's saying certify me in this. I'm going to certify you, Elle, in about 2 minutes. You're going to get certified. So step 1 is the head. It's all about the head. And what it is I'm going to ask you, what is your biggest challenge that you have going on in your life right now? Biggest challenge. Challenges can be good and bad, but what do
Oh, now
you?
you want me to spill the tea? I'm a pot.
I do.
No, I'm just
I
kidding.
said I'm going to coach you, and this is kind of what I do.
Um, yeah, okay, go ahead.
So what would that be? What would your biggest challenge be at this point?
The dealing with the emotions of my parents aging and also
Oh,
my fiance's mother who's had strokes and is now really, just this stage of life. It's been a tough, there's things that have come up, with both sides. And I think that's been challenging. There's moments that I wake up, I cry out of gratitude that my mom's lived this long, and also cry, oh my God, she's going to die within the next probably couple decades. You know what I mean? Like she's not going to live into 150,
yeah.
right? So yeah, I'd say like that's kind of, a little bit of I don't know if it's a challenge as much as I'm going through it, but it's
You
a
know what?
little bit, it's a downer. Yeah.
It's a challenge because what's happening is your frequency. When you get into worry, it's a lower frequency, which
Yeah.
means what we're trying to do here is when you identify it, when you become aware, and this is head, remember, you're there, you're in your head. And by the way, thank you for bringing this up, because we all, whether we are going through it right now, we've gone through it in the past or the future, we're all going to lose parents, right? So it's unfortunately one of those relaunches that's inevitable for us. So now when we go into step two is actually highest self, and it's called change the channel. Change the channel, because what we want to do is go from that worry state to a much higher level so that you're blessed with the gratitude of being with your mom, having her still on the planet, being able to talk to her, spend the time with her. And when you do this, it's so fantastic because it ties so nicely into the Diana Ross story. We do it with music. There is so much neuroscience around music and the benefits and how it elevates you. So I want you to think about, Elle, I'm dying to hear what you're going to say. I want you to think about what song, when you hear it, it just lights you up. You cannot be in worry mode. You cannot be sad. You are like fired up. What would that song be?
Oh my gosh, I feel like there's so many of them. I don't even know. Um, Shit, that's a tough.
You want
That's
to
like saying like, what's your favorite movie? And I'm like, oh my
no,
God. So like,
can I tell you what okay,
I mean, honestly, Upside Down, Diana Ross is one of those songs, to be honest with you. Like, if I were to hear that,
oh,
it immediately does. If I were to hear that anywhere, that shit brings me right into
okay.
like best
You are like,
possible vibes.
I think you're my soul sister already. But you know what I was thinking? Like, and a lot of times I'm highly intuitive here. I had a near death experience when I was young. I was thinking Girl on Fire. Like, you are
Is
so
that Katy Perry song or something?
no, Felicia Keys. This girl is on fire.
Oh, yes, I know.
Oh,
That's right. I know she is. I'm not don't know her
oh
music
yeah,
that
but I
well.
just hear that song in my head when you're like, badass Elle. You're just like, cool. But let's go with Upside Down because that is so good because it ties so nicely into the story. Okay, so what you do in order to change the state, in order to change the vibrational frequency, I need you for at least 20 seconds, because that is the magic number, to hear inside your brain Upside Down. You can listen to the chorus. Now, if you were,
Yep, it would be the opening
yeah,
beats, probably.
okay.
Yep.
And if you were alone, you could play it out loud. But guess
Hmm.
what? The subconscious doesn't care if you're thinking it or if you're hearing it. So I want you right now for 20 seconds. And if we were on video, I would see you moving your body, shaking your head,
Yep.
like all the way to your feet. So for 20 seconds, let's start now. You're
Hmm.
going to be hearing, "Sat down, you turn me." I'm not going to say
Hmm.
it. Don't worry. Don't worry. Okay. Keep
Okay, you're
moving.
gonna do the timer, right?
Yep.
All right.
Turn it up. Turn it up. Mhm. Keep it going. You are right now going through a neuroscience up leveling with your song. Keep moving your body. You hear it. You're turning it up. Okay. So now, how you feeling right now?
Great. Love smirk on my face. Love it.
Yeah. So that's
Brings
usually
back
what
memories, all sorts of nostalgic shit. Yeah, love
Yeah.
it.
Well, we don't even have time to go into what is happening from a neurotransmitter, from a happy hormone perspective, because it's flooding your body. But now we're going to go into step 3. Step 3 is where you are creating a movie in your mind and you're the star. And the best part is you're on stage, and that challenge of, listen, I got aging parents. I'm going to lose them at some point. I'm really like just trying to, manage my emotions. You are looking at an audience and you're sharing with them how you're getting through it. You're actually doing the win. You're like, I'm managing this. I'm doing what I need to do. I'm tuning in more often than not. I'm calling more often. I'm doing all these amazing things. And even when your mom passes on, you're on the stage and you're like, you know what? This is what I started to do prior to when she left this earth. And they are looking at you, Elle. They are like, tell me more because I'm going through this. I need to hear what you did. And I want you to think of a color that you're wearing. What color would that be?
Probably a version of a light blue.
Okay, I want you to 10x that light blue. It is so vibrant. And right now we're turning on your mind. We are like, if you had probes on it, it would be lighting up. And I want you to think of the song again, Upside Down, kind of go through it again. What emotion is going through you right now?
Just peace. Done.
Okay, you're going to intensify the peace. What a beautiful, just like flooding of peace throughout. Intensify the peace, intensifying the light blue. And you're seeing yourself talk to people, helping them, inspiring them that, you know what? they can do it too. They can help, they can go through, they can love their parents and still be okay with the letting go process. So then we go into step 4, and step 4 is back at the head, because step 3 was all about the heart, that peace, that connection. But step 4 is the head again. And this is where you tune back into your song. And what is one micro pop, one micro action that you could do to get a step closer to the mini movie, you being on that stage, you feeling peace? So I want you to think about this, and as small as you possibly could do, what could you get closer to peace than be closer to the challenge? What could you do from a micro pop perspective? What would that be? Just one small thing that when we're done, you could do.
To get to a better place about the emotions, or
Yep. To get to that place where you're on that stage and you're saying, this is what I've done to be able to manage to that challenge of aging parents, of I got my mom, love my mom, but she's going to someday leave.
I guess like probably what I already have planned for a couple days from now, which is that I'm interviewing my mom. Not for my podcast, but for my niece, for me, for everybody.
Oh,
Her life story, like to get that on record. I know I'll regret it, and so that's something. And it was inspired by someone I finished a year-long intention group with like 12 other people, and one of the women in there is older, and she's like in her 70s, and she's doing like a life story situation with other people, right, to tell their stories, this kind of thing. And it got me going to be like, oh, I really need to like schedule this with my mother because I would so regret it. And you forget things and details about their life, even though you've asked them a million questions. So I think that would probably be part of
okay.
what,
You're already doing it. So what
yeah.
I would want is, what could you do that would be one small action getting ready for that you could do? And literally it's like the second we're done with the show, before, because success likes speed. What could you like? What could you text? What could you email? What could you call? What could you do? Because it's small, 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 these micro actions that help. And I'll explain what it's doing in the brain once you say what that action is.
Are you talking about an action specific to my mother or just any
Yep.
kind of thing?
No, an
Well,
action specifically to that how you are feeling so peaceful on the stage. And
I'll just text. I've already spoken to her today. I speak to her every day, but I'll probably text her and tell her I love her.
okay, that's all you have to do. What happens when you do it is that you have something in your head called the RAS, the reticular activating system. And when you activate it, most people think, oh, it's just there, and it's that, don't hit the pole, don't hit the pole, bam, you hit the pole, or oh my God, I want a red car, and there you see a red car. But what if you could use it and program it to help you in business, to help you in life situations, to help you with this, where all of a sudden it's like it's giving you more of those micro pops that you can do for success, for accomplishment, to help you along this journey of, where it's going. So what we want to be doing is, after you do the text, I want you to, what I call, pop the champagne. It's a pop the champagne moment. And, literally, figuratively, doesn't really matter, but it's this imagination of like, I did it. And that releases more of these happy hormones into your body, which then triggers your RAS to say, I want more of that. And then it gives you more ideas. It shows you more opportunities to have these things happen. Whereas your brain filters out what you don't ask it to see. It only is showing you what you're saying focus on. So when you use tune in, no matter what it is, tune in for, I'm about to go into a meeting. I'm about to go on a stage. I'm about to write a social media post, whatever it is, you can tune in right before and give yourself that boost, elevate your energy, your vibrational energy to what you are trying to create. Not do it at a low vibration, because when you're creating at a low vibration, what you're going to get out is a low vibration type of email, type of post. So this becomes so important. So I have people that work with me, and the first thing I teach them is, you are going to tune in 10 to 20 times a day before every single meeting. And I mentioned being at Diana Ross, I tuned in. First thing
Mhm.
I had was, I got this challenge. I need my mom to meet you, and it's going to happen. Then my song was any song that she was singing at that moment because I was just so on a high. Then the third one was, I already visualized her coming down the the stairs and the stage and seeing her. What I hadn't realized is she was going to give her a big hug, but I envisioned that. And then what I did was, I looked at my mom, I looked at Diana, I mirrored what she did. I took over the mirror, and that was my micro pop. And it happened. And it all happened because I elevated my vibrational essence of my energy and law of resonance. I resonated with what my end goal was, and it happened. So as you think, and what was great is that what you gave was not something like, hey, I want to 10x my business, or hey, I want to do, something like
Well,
somebody
which
just,
there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing
no,
wrong with that. I
it's
mean,
so great.
I've been there too. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And it's so great because tune in works for everything. So, there was a woman that I worked with over the holidays, and she was just so like, oh, so upset about having to go to a family dinner. And we used the tune in process of actually, the challenge was going to the family dinner. And I really don't want to sit next to, I can't remember her uncle's name, but she's like, oh, I don't want it. Then we went ahead and we elevated with the song. Then we had an image of like, it was the best like dinner they've ever had as a family. And then the micro pop was, okay, there was we did a power stance. She's like, I'm going to do something with my shoulders when I know like I'm doing it. Like I'm creating, I am a creator. And so she did it. And I mean, it was so funny because I got a call at like 11 p.m. that night. Of course I was asleep, but I wake up to this message. She's like, oh, it worked. It worked. It worked. We've never had such a great dinner. And then imagine what she was doing. She was building up by 2 to 3 times a day, having additional, like, of the movie in the mind, more images like, "Oh my god, my mom's turkey wasn't actually overcooked and dry this year." Like, all these different things. They have turkey both Christmas and Thanksgiving, and it was so awesome because the more you can lean into it and build it, imagine you do it 3 times a day, 5 times, that's 15 different micro pops. That gets you to feel very confident in what the outcome's going to be. Makes
Okay.
sense? Makes
I
sense to
love
you?
it. I wanted to bring up something that was interesting. In the focus, while you're there, at the concert, it reminded me of like a midway trip up. There was an event in Maui years ago, many years, like a decade ago, that I was going to, and it was like, hey, free women's event, but we're giving away prizes. And the main prize was a stand-up paddleboard. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna win it. And I told all my friends, I was like, hey, just want you to mark this in your head, going to this event in Maui. And I'm gonna fucking win that board. I'm gonna win the prize. Just I'm letting you know now because we gotta put this down. There's gotta be evidence, right? A friend of mine went with me to Maui. There was like 300 people there on the beach. Here's the thing. Midway, they're like going through the prizes and then they get to the grand prize, right? And the deal that day was no one paid for tickets or anything. It was just, hey, honor system. Like you give us a name on a card, we put it in the box, and then that's it. That's your entry. And they pull a name out. Well, midway through the drawing, the guy drawing it pulls out a card. He goes, wait a minute, I've seen this name already. And right away, it was like your Diana Ross thing where she invited someone up. And you're like, no, it's getting screwed up. Hold on. Right? But I was like, no. They're a pawn. This has nothing to do with me. This has nothing to do with my win. They can't fuck up my win. I'm going right back. And I went right back and I was on the beach, serious focus, eyes closed. I imagined me like raising my head up, running up on stage, putting the board on top of the car. Holy shit, I won it. All of the things, the aftermath, did it. Of course, I won the board or I wouldn't tell the story. Was in like the Maui paper, and my friend who was there filming me, she was like, I don't know if I'm more impressed with just the fact that you won like a $2,000 stand-up paddleboard or the fact that like this manifestation is pretty like you called this from day one. I believe because I was the one who wanted it most that was there of the 300 people. The odds also were believable, but it's that midway trip up. You're going to get that at some point. No, someone's ruining my manifestation. No, they're not. No, they're not. Diana Ross comes
Mm.
down anyway and hugs your mom.
Okay, I've got to tell you. This I've got to tell you. And I'm throwing this out to Shannon, who's probably going to listen to this as well. Christmas time, we went to it was like a spa client recognition party at some hotel. And they always do giveaways, like you just said. And I walk in and I look and there is a thing that has like my favorite shampoo in it. And I'm like, oh God, I want to win that. Like, I want to win that. And Shannon, who I'm with, says, God, I've never won anything. And I said, okay, tune in right now. She knows the tune in process. I'm like, okay, are we ready? Are we ready? Are we
That's right.
ready?
We're doing it. One of us,
This
that's
is
what I said to my friend. One of us has come back
yeah,
with this board, me or
yeah,
you.
yeah. But there were other prizes, and one I hadn't seen. So they are pulling, and all of a sudden they pull my friend's name. She wins a basket. She's like, what? Like, no way, Hilary, this is the coolest thing. And I'm like, yeah, in my mind, I'm like, okay, so she won that. And I think it was the shampoo and everything. And I'm like, okay, this is cool. And then they say, okay, and the grand prize is a night at this like great hotel. And I'm like, now that's cool. Like, that's a cool prize. I think I want that. That's the one I
Yeah, that's
want.
better than the shampoo. I'll take
Yeah,
that one.
yeah. That's a good one. And so they pull a name out and it is not my name. I'm like, rah, rah. I'm like, no, no. I elevate myself again. I go right into what I'm thinking and my tune in process. And they're like, oh, she's not here. We're going to have to draw again. And then they pulled out my name. I'm like, this is so great. And then Shannon looks at me and says, are you kidding me? Like, how did that just happen? That both of us. So I love your story. I'm going to use it in the future. I think it's
But meant to say that like there might be a trip up in during the focus and you just get right back to focus because it's about
that's
the
the
no one
key.
else. This is my intention and no one else is involved and no one else can mess with it and just keep with the focus. I also want to shout out to Diana Ross because my half of my family grew up in Switzerland and Diana Ross lived, nearby. She had a
Uh-huh.
chalet nearby. So we're always like, ooh, Diana Ross, but also shout out to her daughter, Tracy Ellis Ross, who is hilarious. And I loved her show Blackish, one of my favorite sitcoms in recent years. And also, Tracy Ellis Ross, her daughter, has great hair products called Pattern Beauty. And when you have like really super curly hair like mine and kind of what would be considered mixed hair or something like that. So I just want to give a shout, so go Diana Ross on her whole legacy and her entire.
You know what? And I'm high fiving you right now, girl. Love it. So
Okay, but
good.
let's get to as we close up here. Your book relaunch is available on Amazon. You can get that everywhere. Forward by John Assaraf. I have interviewed him in the past on the former Primal Blueprint podcast. That's now discontinued, but had a great conversation with him. Let's talk about the ways that we can work with you. How can the person listening go, you know what? I want help with guidance. I need a relaunch, or I'm going through a relaunch and I need some help with it. So tell us all the ways that you can work with people and we can benefit from you other than your book and your podcast.
Thank you for asking. And I really do enjoy, the whole idea of midlife and the relaunches that we specifically go through. And the fact that, at this point, it's like, what legacy are we really trying to do? Like maybe it's just like, hey, I just want my company to finally get to 6 figures or 7 figures or 8 figures or whatever it is. But it's really a matter of just initially being willing to say, you know what? I want to be relevant. I want to be, unstuck. I want to be like flourishing. I want that for me because as I said, it's go time, right? I held my mom's hand as she passed and I realized how quick it all goes. So, how you can hear more about TuneIn, because I really do think it's probably the number one peak performance tool you could use in your life. You can go to tuneinpowertool.com. TuneInPowerTool.com. It is free. It's a whole how it works. Talk about all the incredible things in the background of the, brain of what's really going on during the process. So that would be first and foremost. And then I would say the other thing is that I know, especially as women, we need in-person live events. And I am hosting something in September 18, 19, 20th. It's called Relaunch to a Rich Life. And I would love to give your audience a code for 50% off the tickets. And
Fantastic.
they're already very reasonable because the whole point is really understanding the idea of relaunch in wealth, health, relationships, all the different area, mindset. And so if you go to relaunch to a rich life.com, relaunch to a rich life.com, and we will go ahead with a code. And I was just thinking it would just be L, if that's okay,
Sure.
or
ELLE. Yep.
yep,
Great.
ELLE. And if you put that in there, you'll get 50% off of the ticket.
Thank you so much for that. That's delightful. And in general, your standard website, and we'll put all of these links and the code in the show notes, but is the relaunchco.com.
You know what? It's actually just the relaunch, the
Is it?
relaunch.com. Yep,
Okay. Sorry, then I got an old one then.
just the relaunch.com. I'm happy to say we relaunched from the old website.
You relaunched from the relaunch.
Yeah, we relaunched,
Hey, listen,
relaunched.
everything's a freaking relaunch here, Hilary. Like,
Yeah, it really is.
I love it. Okay, so therelaunch.com, and then she gave you the other handles, but of course we'll put the immediate, click on them and go links in the show notes. Go ahead and tell us what else, how else we can benefit.
You know what? At this point, I think that it's about sharing. It's about, if you found that tune in is something that you start to leverage, share it with others. My gosh, I get my kids doing it. I have my husband doing it. I have friends doing it. It's so easy. As I said, just in review, it's what's your biggest challenge? Then you go into step 2. You change the channel with that 20-second song in your head. You move your body. Step 3 is the movie in the mind. You see yourself on stage. What color are you wearing? Intensify that. What emotion? And then you go into step 4 and you make an action, a micro pop towards that. So you literally can do this in 2 minutes or less. And it is the biggest brain hack you can do to elevate your energy. If you need to go on a Zoom and you're like, I just had the worst call of my life. I know I have to be on this call, but I don't want to be. This will at least allow you to be there, be present, be the best you. And then when you're off, you can go back to whatever you're, naturally feeling.
I'm just imagining the person where you're like, what's your favorite song? And it's like a Metallica song, which is like the
God,
opposite of what you would imagine.
I think I've done this like at least 1,000 times.
Yeah.
I've taken, and I have heard the crazy. I took Simon Sinek and Seth Godin through this, and the one song that I think it was both of them. No, Seth's was some crazy little schoolhouse thing from when he was young.
That's
and
great.
Simon's was like, I'm like, what? I couldn't even pronounce it. It was like, I'm like, what? It was a instrumental. I'm like, huh? And then other people, they're like, Poison. One guy.
That's great. It's an 80s hair band. Yeah. Awesome.
And then
But also that's the whole thing. It's so personal. It doesn't even matter. It could be literally like, screw your mom and kill everybody.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
if that's
Honestly,
what lights you up.
Yeah. And I mean, sometimes, there have been some great titles too. I'm like, okay, great. Let's not sing that one out loud.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's been, I got to tell you, it is. It lights me up every time I get to hear somebody go through it, because I know what it's doing inside their own bodies. I know how much it's helping them.
What are your closing thoughts for someone that might be going through a tough relaunch?
Here's the thing. I've said this from the beginning, relaunches are inevitable, but there is space and grace that you can actually go through this. And even the nastiest divorces, the people I've worked with, to get them to rise above, that's your natural state, is to be in that 3HQ alignment, head, heart, highest self. And when you realize that, you mentioned earlier, gratitude, you can't be in a negative state and be in a grateful state. It's not possible. So when you learn these things, when you learn more about your own body, when you learn about your mind and the power behind it, and you just start to like hack the heck out of it, it changes. It changes you being able to bring things into your life. Like, people will say, oh God, I've been trying to do this for years. And I'll say, well, can we maybe do this in the next, bring it in the next week? They're like, what? I'm like, yeah, nothing is impossible when you leverage. the neuroscience, the science behind our brains and our minds. Nothing. I mean, I literally, I've seen the craziest things, and I know that people going through things, it is, and you being honest enough to say, when your mom finally passes, that, oh my God, I can't even bear to think about it. But you know what? Part of relaunch is resilience. And it is amazing when you practice early. And I was fortunate enough to be able to practice for years before my mom's passing. When you know the right tools, it's not that it's easy. It's just that you can flow through it and appreciate the things about my mom's life, her wonderful, like being one of the greatest moms on the planet. I can appreciate all of those without feeling like, oh my God, I need to go lie down. I can't get my head off the pillow.
Yeah.
And so that's I think it's so critical. Practice, tune in, become that master. If you need me to guide you through it, get that tuneinpowertool.com and DM me. DM me on Instagram, Hilary DeCesare, and just let me know how it's going for you. What is your challenge? Go through the tune in process, and at the end, step 4, say done. Just say done, and let me support you.
I love it. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your wisdom through your book and all of the work that you do. And for everyone else, we'll see you next week.
Hey, thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this show, I would so appreciate you leaving a review on Apple or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. And to learn more about partner discounts on amazing products, visit elleruss.com/discounts.